You're now rocking with the best, the man that is often early but never wrong. I'm your host, Coach Defense, here bringing you another hit-making moment from my POV. NFL hot takes and news breaks. I'm here to give you the real deal, live and uncut. And ladies and gentlemen, it is Combine Week. What is happening? So we will get into it, man. We've been dropping content all week. We've been doing things real big on the channel. As always, man, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so to catch every video that we drop. We're dropping Combine videos all weekend. Today is the day we get right into it. For us real football nerds, the field drills and on-field activities start today. So we will get you ready and get you right and get you going for who you should watch coming this weekend for Thursday through Sunday. So it's going to be a lot going on, and we're going to be locked and low to be ready to diagnose and dissect these players and how they look in what they call the underwear Olympics in a lot of spaces. What athletic talent these guys have without footballs being thrown around or being played or hits being made throughout the entire NFL or college season for their case. So we will get into it. We're going to break down edge rushers and linebackers today. Please check out all our other videos. We broke down quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and the trenches. O-line, D-line already. So catch that. The rest of the hit squad has been dropping that, and we're going to drop safeties and corners tomorrow. So be on the lookout for all of that. But we're going to get into the edge rusher today. And like I said, we're going to break down what to look for, who to watch from the edge rusher and linebacker positions. I'm going to run down all the players of note. I guess the guys that are on the list, there's people that are going to have eyes on them throughout the week in Indianapolis. And I'm going to give you my top three in both positions that I feel like is one is a top prospect, one is a guy that stock could be rising, and one guy that could be a sleeper. It could be a day 3 pick, but it would be a contributor or likely contributor based upon his skill set early on. And he might be a guy that might be an unsung hero. Don't have a whole lot of notoriety going into the draft, but once he gets on that field, it could be a difference made in his particular aspect and his particular prowess when he gets on the field. So, like I said, this is my lane. This is my group for the most part. Linebackers for sure. Edge rushers. We got some guys that are hybrids. They line up on the edge sometimes, and sometimes they play in space. So we're going to break them all down. We're going to get right into it. So start off with the edge rushers. Some household names here, some guys you may not know right off, but there will be names that you will find out who they are between now and April. That's for sure. So, of course, at the top of the list is Ruben Bain. Everybody, looks at him as probably the top prospect of the edge rushing group. He is the guy. Everybody looks at him as being the number one edge rusher in the 2026 class. Fresh out of Miami, him and Akeem Mesidor wreaked havoc for Miami all the way to the national title game. Came up a little short, but it wasn't because they weren't productive, that's for sure. So Ruben Bain is at the top of the list. It then followed up by David Bailey, who a lot of people's accounts, depending on what your scheme is, he's a top prospect. They could literally flop them between him and Bain as being one or two as the edge rusher. You got Cassius Howell out of Texas A&M. Again, I mentioned Akeem Mesidor from Miami as well, the counterpart of Ruben Bain. You got Gabe Jackus out of Illinois. You got Derrick Moore out of Michigan. You got Nadame Tucker from Western Michigan. A shout out to Chris O'Leary in the Western Michigan group, who is now the Chargers defense coordinator. And he got Caden Curry out of Ohio State, who is ranked low in a lot of people's draft boards, a lot of people's rankings. But Caden Curry could be a name that we could be watching coming into the draft that could show out in glowing fashion once he puts those pads on, for sure. So that is the edge rushing room. And then we get into the idea of the inside linebackers, the stand-up guys. Now, Sonny Styles and Averill Reese are guys that can do a little bit of both. A lot of people are targeting back that they are refined pass rushers as well as they can play decently in space. Two freakish athletes, so they're at the top of the boards as far as inside linebackers are concerned. So you got them two, Averill Reese and on Sonny Styles, ironically, out of Ohio State as well. Ohio State had a lot of talent on their defense in 2025, that's for sure. You got C.J. Allen out of Georgia. You got Jack Galladay out of Cincinnati. Josiah Trotter out of Missouri, who is the son of Jeremiah Trotter, who also has his son, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., already in the league. So you got three different, you can't really call them generations, but two different generations and two brothers who could potentially be in the NFL here shortly. You got Jacob Rodriguez, the winner of every practical award that you can win from a defensive personnel person. He won all the awards, from top to bottom, best linebacker on down. I think he was actually in the running for the Heisman. He was a candidate. I think he might have been top 5 or so in the voting, maybe. I have to fact check myself on that. But yeah, he was definitely up there for a defensive player. Then you got Keyshawn Elliott out of Arizona State. And then you got Trey Moore out of Texas. So those guys that are, have a lot of eyes on them, and guys that they're trying to figure out where they land as far as, how high you can pick them or how low they need to go in regards to getting those guys in house come April. So we're gonna start with, like I said, we'll break down the top three of each position, and we're gonna tell you exactly who I feel, who's the top prospects, who's your stock guys, or stock rising guys, and who's your sleepers. So let's start with the edge rushers. Let's get right into it. So my first guy is, of course, David Bailey. We can talk all we want about Ruben Bain. Now, Ruben Bain is not working out in the combine, so you won't see him on the field this weekend. But I think David Bailey will work out. He is a 6'3", 250-pound edge player. He racked up 52 tackles, 19 and a half tackles for loss in 2025. He had 15 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and 14 games played. The kid is a certified dog. I mean, there's not much you can say about a 250-pound man. Much more you can say about him than just certified. Put a stamp on it, and he's definitely that. He's one of those guys that when you talk about his strengths, he has explosive get off and short area quickness, which makes him a handful to deal with off the edge. He gets up to speed very, very quickly, and he makes offensive tackles pack their lunch when they come to have to block him. They really do. Violent with his approaches, and his pass rush abilities and things of that nature. So him getting off the edge and getting into tackles space short and quick is one of his best skill sets. So he's definitely refined in that space. Again, his violent hands, relentless motor, he does it all in regards to what he can do on the field. Now, a little bit of knock on him in the sense that, him coming out of college, which I feel like, the guys that are really productive at pass rush, although some guys do a little better than others. A lot of guys that are really refined pass rush have a little bit of a struggle when it comes to run defense, and that's one of his knocks. They say his run defense needs a little bit of work in that space. So that would tell me that anybody that picks him will literally likely hide him or use him on pass rush specific downs early until they refine his ability to defend the run better and hold the edge and get on the field for every down. But I still don't think that deter people from picking him high. His production alone, from the pass rush perspective, is going to make him a top, I'm going to say top 15 pick at worst, in my perspective. It just depends on who picks and how they view certain guys and who fits their scheme and who doesn't. But I think that he can mesh well in most 3-4 or 4-3 schemes. So I don't see why you wouldn't take him in the space. I mean, once Bain is gone, I think him, Averill, and a couple of other guys are right up there fighting for the idea for being the best pass rusher in his class, right? So, yeah, I mean, outside of his run defense, need a little bit of a refinement, putting him out there on early downs against the run, against those really violent, aggressive tackles and pulling guards. Outside of that, I mean, again, what much can you say about it? Again, 15 sacks started the season out of 14 games. I mean, yeah, he's literally a sack a game practically. If you can get that type of production out of him in the pros, listen, he's automatically a Pro Bowl All-Pro candidate, in the making. So, yeah, I think David Bailey is right on par at being a really good prospect coming out of the draft in 2026 and here in April in a couple of months. So, of course, he's my top prospect. Next guy up is my rising star, I guess you could say. He could be rising up draft boards, and that's Derrick Moore. Derrick Moore out of Michigan, a 6'3", 256-pound edge rusher. He racked up 30 tackles from the edge, 10 and a half sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and had 12 games played. Now, much like David Bailey, his strength is power and his explosiveness off the ball. I mean, relentless motor, chasing down screens, chasing down running backs, chasing down quarterbacks on the backside, you name it. He doesn't stop until the ball is and the whistle is blown. So the ball is dead and the whistle is blown. He definitely has a lot of, I guess you can say, high energy when it comes down to playing the edge position. Now he's ranked, in the middle of the pack when it regards to his ability to be drafted. So I would like to believe that he was probably a mid-second day, maybe an early third day guy, depending on how the draft board falls. But I do believe you're going to get a really solid player. I mean, again, you don't wake up every day and find guys with relentless motors and good get off and good pass rush skills coming out of college. You just don't. His knock on him a little bit, coming out of college was, he needs a little bit of refinement in his pass rush moves and his secondary moves. Like, he has really good get off, and if he can get into you with just sure power or speed off the edge, he will win more likely. But when he doesn't win with his first move, his refinements of second and third moves will need to be, I guess you kind of say tweaked in a sense. But once he gets off that the ball and he gets to you with that first move, and he beats you with that first move, it's curtains. Racked up again, 10 and a half, maybe 11 sacks, depending on how you calculate it throughout the season. So yeah, very, very productive guy. And I think that if he goes out there and tests well, I think his stock will rise. And he could be, an early day 2 guy for sure. I mean, he could shoot up the draft boards, maybe early second round pick, depending on who needs an edge rusher, right? But I do believe that Derrick Moore is somebody you should watch over the weekend to see how well he tests. Because if he tests well, if he runs fast, He does well in the on-field drills, and people go back and look at his tape because that happens a lot. That guys that are I guess you can say in the second and third round rankings when they come into the combine, they kind of wait to see what they test like, and then they go back and look at the tape and really start to dissect his ability and whether or not he can be a fit. And again, depending on how the draft board falls, he could be an early second day pick if you in the need of an edge rusher, and especially if there's a run on edge rushers in the first round, like I think is going to be. So yeah, I think that Derrick could shoot up the draft boards from being a late second to early third round guy, early third day guy, so maybe an early second day guy. So we'll see. We'll see how it does. But I do believe that Derrick Moore is definitely a quality product out of Michigan. So we'll see how he tests over the weekend. My next guy is Caden Curry. Now, Caden Curry, I've really, in my pre-draft process, my pre-combine process, I should call it at this point, he's really impressing me more and more. I look into his game, looking into his accomplishments, looking into his stats, just looking at him over as an overall player. Now, he's one of those guys that's unassuming, right? You just don't look at him and he screams, blue chip athlete. But when you turn on the film and you see him play every single down like it's his last, Caden Curry is a really, really solid player. And the fact that he's rated as a day 3 guy at some space, sometime third round or later, is mind-boggling to me. And I think that I'm not sure exactly what he's going to test like, in the sense that, how he's going to, may not run a 4.5 or 4.4, at 260 pounds, right? But I believe that he's definitely a guy that you should be watching out for. And he's my sleeper from the edge position. Like I said, 6'3". I got a lot of 6'3" guys in the edge rushing room this year. But 6'3", 260 pounds. He racked up 66 tackles from the edge, 16 and a half tackles for loss, 12 sacks, and a forced fumble in the 14 games played for the Ohio State Buckeyes. So yeah, Caden Curry, I mean, I guess you kind of get overshadowed with Sonny Styles and Avery Reese being on your team. I guess you kind of get overshadowed, but listen, Caden Curry is a dog if you are going to need a guy that's going to bring it every day. In practice, in the games, he's going to bring it every day. He has great off-the-ball quickness. He's a relentless pass rusher, a pursuer of football. He's not only going to pursue the quarterback, he's going to pursue the ball carrier. Whoever has the ball, that's what he's seeking to get after and bring down early and often. So I'm definitely thinking that he's going to be a really solid player. He's just an everyday worker. He takes no days off. He has a refined pass rush set and even a better spin move than most college athletes have when you come out of when you get into the draft. Most guys don't have a secondary spin move that is, really defined. They kind of define that in the league in certain cases. But he, to his credit, he has a pretty good spin move out of a college, and you don't see that. It's very rare. So I'm definitely seeing that he's going to be a really good defender day one, and he has a highly elevated ability to defend the run. So I think that, again, to be solid and be, I guess you can say, I guess you get the total package in a sense. You get really decent run defense and really good pass rush out the gate. He's just an everyday worker, man. He's unassuming. He doesn't flash. He doesn't have this high, speed threshold or things like that. But if you just need a solid edge rusher, a guy that's going to carve out a really good career as a pro, Caden Curry is going to be your guy. So watch out for him. He's my sleeper from the edge rushing room. And the only thing they really would knock on him is the idea that he's not an elite bender, getting around the edge and things of that nature. He stands more straight up and kind of stiff in a sense, when he gets around the edge. But again, that's something they be corrected. If that's your knock, then I'm okay with taking, a third or a second, third or fourth round pick on you and sleeping well, because again, we can work on that in practice and in the pros. We can get that right. We can get you better off the edge as far as your bend is concerned. But outside of that, I think he's solid. He checks a lot of boxes for me to be a good edge rusher coming out of the draft. So we'll see how he does, man. But I'm looking at him testing how he does on the on-field drills, and he should be impressive come this weekend. All right, so moving down the line to the linebackers. Now, I talked about Sonny Styles and Avery Reese earlier about how they're kind of a little of a hybrid kind of conversation. Now, Sonny Styles I picked to be my top prospect because he's the more of the off-the-ball guy. Avery Reese is more of the pass-rushing variety. So although they have him listed both as stand-up linebackers, which, is kind of interesting, but Avery Reese, again, is the more defined and more, I guess, a celebrated pass rusher in a sense. But when I say to you as a clear, I guess you can say I have discriminating tastes when it comes to linebackers. Sonny Styles is a freak of all freaks when it comes down to his ability to play football in 2025, 2026. I'm here to tell you. And I'm going to tell you right now that, again, if you're assuming he does all the drills, you're looking at a 6'5", 243-pound linebacker who is likely going to test well, and he's going to probably blow the doors off most people's rankings, in a sense of blow their minds in as far as their critiques of him once he gets on the field and I guess you can say drills that have no football involved, no hitting involved, but I don't want to keep calling it underwear Olympics because that just sounds weird, but that's what it is. Everybody's in Under Armour gear and it's all on air. It's nothing, football driven about it. You're testing athleticism and athletic ability. And I think he's really going to test well. He's a freakish athlete, but especially to be 6'5" and 243 pounds. It's amazing. See what this kid can do. I mean, his athleticism is off the charts. 82 tackles throughout the year, six and a half tackles for loss. He had a sack. Again, more of the off the ball variety, but he can't rush the passer. 2 forced fumbles in 14 games played. Again, like I said, he's a freaking athlete, great in coverage. I mean, what intrigues me about Sonny Styles the most is the fact that he can pretty much do everything. So anybody that's a really, I guess you can say, refined or nuanced defensive coordinator is going to love this kid. Now, again, he's not going to last long on the draft boards. I'm just going to put it plain. He probably won't last out of the top 10 because he's that good. But whoever gets him, it will be a disservice to you if you don't use him in all kinds of varieties that he's good at. He's great in coverage. He can cover tight ends. He can cover running backs out of the backfield. He can blitz. He can play the run like anybody that's a top, highly regarded linebacker should. And it's not a whole lot of chinks in this game. I'm just trying not to oversell it in a sense, but he has a whole lot of upside and not a lot of down. Not a whole lot of weaknesses to this kid's game. Understand? I mean, he's not going to carry wide receivers, through a whole over route on third down. But outside of that, he's really good in coverage in his own areas and old spaces in his own areas, covering tight ends, covering running backs. This is what linebackers supposed to do. The best you should be able to have to do to cover a linebacker, cover a tight end in your areas, right? And inside of the tackle spots. But, he's not going to be covering wide receivers and slots and all this type of stuff. But outside of that, I mean, he is a whole lot he doesn't do well. So I'm excited to see this kid play on Sundays for sure. It just depends on who he played for. And what defense coordinator is going to be lucky enough to have this Swiss Army knife of a player to play for his defense for the next few years. So we'll see how things roll, man. But that's my top prospect. Next up is, I kind of prefaced this in the early part of the episode about Josiah Trotter. Again, son of Jeremiah Trotter, who Jeremiah Trotter Jr., his older brother, is already in the league playing for the Eagles. Now, Josiah is rising on my draft boards as my stock rising guy because of, one fact that NFL pedigree is a thing. When you have all the tangibles, the skill set, and the ability to play in college and in the pros, that's one thing. To be taught by NFL linebacker as your father is another thing. We can't undersell the idea of what Patrick Surtain's, senior and junior or the second looks like, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. looks like, and what Josiah Trotter could look like in the NFL. Having your father or having a family member that's played in the league and give you that understanding of what it is like to be an NFL player is an underrated stat. That's number one. And then number two, we get onto the idea of who he was as a college player. Again, 6'2", 237 pounds, a complete and utter prototypical linebacker from a build perspective. He has the right height, right size, everything you want to, I guess you can say highlight as far as his being an NFL linebacker, right? Plastic thumper, really good in the run game. He's, again, like I said, prototypical linebacker, 84 tackles in his last year, 13 tackles for loss as an inside linebacker, 2 sacks, which means he can rush the passer and get after the quarterback in 12 games played. This kid should test well on top of that and get after these, I guess you could say, scouts to say that, hey, I'm not a day three guy. I'm more of a early day 3 or maybe day 2 guy, depending on who needs an inside linebacker. But yeah, I'm definitely seeing the Josiah Trotter should be rising up draft boards after this weekend based upon how he tests. Because again, outside of his ability to cover, now he's a little bit, I guess you can say needs a little bit of refinement in his cover abilities. But again, like I said, if you can find the ability to be able to cover decent tight ends and running backs out of the backfield, that's all you should be able to have to do as a linebacker. You shouldn't have to cover like a safety or a corner. You should have to just cover like a linebacker, and that's covering tight ends and covering running backs out of the backfield. That's it. If he gets that down, then he's going to be an every down back, every 3 down linebacker when it comes down to his ability to play on the field. So I'm just curious who sees him and will ultimately pick him in the draft in April, because I think you're going to get a really good player. I like his draft stock, and I think it should be rising by the time the draft gets here. He should be up in everybody's boards by April, into April for sure. So we'll see how Josiah not Jeremiah, but Josiah does, and son of Jeremiah Trotter. That's what we're doing. So yeah, kid out of Missouri. So like what he's doing, and I think he's going to be a very good a linebacker coming into the draft in April for sure. So we'll see who gets him. Lastly is my sleeper, Trey Moore out of Texas. Trey Moore is a 6'3", 249-pound linebacker out of like I said, out of Texas. Very, very interesting kid because he is a dual threat linebacker. He plays the edge as well as he plays stand-up linebacker. He definitely is a very, very talented and nuanced kid, to say the least. Again, when you see the ability to be able to rush the passer at an elite level and play coverage from a weak side linebacker perspective, he's a great athlete. He's above average in coverage and plays well off the edge. 33 tackles. He did a lot of pass rushing in a sense. When he was playing for Texas last year, but 5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks. He was just all over the field. I mean, they just whatever they need him to do, kind of like what I talk about Sonny Styles, and just put him anywhere and just let him go to work. He's more effective on the weak side of the ball versus the strong side. But if you put him on the weak side and tell him to go get a pass or cover a guy in coverage or just drop in zone, things of that nature, his ability and his athleticism should get the job done. And I think he's a good sleeper pick when it comes down to who could surprise people on day 3. I definitely think he's probably gonna be a day 3 guy, but the fact that he has dual threat ability as a linebacker, he's traditionally a stand-up linebacker, but he can play off the edge and he can cover and he can play the run well. He's a really good edge setter on top of that. Oh yeah. I'm thinking that Trey Moore is going to be a good sleeper pick for people that are looking for some value at day 3 to get themselves the inside linebacker / edge player. If I can sneak off playing this guy in coverage or playing him off the ball and sneak him in on third downs as an extra rusher or a blitzer, yes, as defense coordinator, I'm salivating at that for sure. I'm definitely salivating at that for sure. So let's see what he does when he gets there. But yeah, whoever gets Trey Moore on day 3 will likely get a steal, because I think that his production will be in his ability to play multiple positions should garner some attention in regards to what he should do when he plays for the NFL in late August, early September. So we'll see how things roll, man. But that's my list. Tell me what you think about it. Tell me who you're watching. Guys from just playing the edge, and guys that are playing in inside linebacker position. Tell me what you think about their skill sets and what they can do come April. And what they're going to do for their teams in September as well. Let me know who you're tracking and who may be on your radar in regards to there's your early sleeper picks, or who might be an unsung hero in the draft that might be still in April. So as always, man, if you're looking for us, check out our Patreon page. We just started out our new Patreon page, exclusive independent content. We're dropping there. There are content you can only view there, as well as other things. We drop all our YouTube content early there, as well as all our exclusive content, our Hit Squad Unfiltered shows, more detailed coverage regarding the draft and other things, other nuanced topics and interviews and things of that nature we're going to be doing over there. So please drop us a line over there and sign up for our Patreon page today. We appreciate all that support. And if you're looking for the Hit Squad in any facet, Coach Mike Dubb, the real AG Alex Givens, or Robert Garcia, our Commanders, Chiefs, and Chargers insider, respectively, hit them up on their socials. If you have any questions regarding their teams, if you're looking for the Lockdown Defense Sports Network on any facet, any platform, here's our socials: Lockdown Defense Sports on all platforms except Twitter. Lockdown Defense there. We also have our Gmail address if you need to reach out to us through email. LockdownDefenseSports@gmail.com is our email address. Drop a subscription on this YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button on that Patreon. And we appreciate everybody's support going into the combine season and getting ready for free agency in the draft, man. So like I said, tomorrow we'll be back with another video in regards to the safeties and corners. And we'll get you right and get you ready for the combine, man. But in the meantime, in between time, that's my time. I'm your boy, Coach Defense. Until then, I'll see you when I see you. And as always, you got to step up to lock it down.